Welcome to Woodshop 101. This is episode 117 for March 5th, 2018. On today's show, we're going to talk about everything sandpaper. I'm Jeremy Crawford of the Countryside Workshop. I'm joined tonight by my co-host Sam Wooddell of Sam Ryan Designs, Drew Short of Rock-n H Woodshop, and our guest host, Rob from Ginger Woodworks. What's going on?
Hey, guys.
Hey.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Feel like we haven't done this for a minute.
I know. It's been a long time.
Well, you guys are slacking going to Workbench Con and all that crap. And us working stiffs, still keep it going down here.
Yeah. It was so fun.
I don't think they let kids go.
Yeah.
Oh.
What's that? Look, Drew, you have an opportunity to go to Atlanta again in 2 weeks.
Dude, I just quit my job. Really?
All you got to figure out is how to get there. You have a room already.
Yeah, that's a lot of gas.
Yeah.
A lot of gas. And my wife would have to be responsible for picking my daughter up because I still have a little girl in school.
Yeah.
Oh, look. I just tell my son, somebody will come pick you up.
Save it for Workbench next year.
She said, you can go next year. I'm like, dang right, I can go next year. I want to go next year.
Definitely. It was so much fun.
Yeah, it was. It was a blast.
Is the plan to move it, or are they going to do it there every year?
Look, I don't
know.
I don't really think. I know there's people wanting it to move to other locations, but one of their biggest supporters, one of the biggest, is Home Depot, and they're based out of Atlanta. That's kind of
right.
That's why they supported Haven for the longest time, is because Haven stayed in Atlanta. So
now it's not.
I thought Haven moved. Yeah,
Haven
South
is
Carolina.
Now. Haven's going to be right here in my backyard. So,
but there's a lot of companies down there, though. You have there's Delta, TTI is there.
Well, they're like 3.5 hours from here. They're out towards Anderson.
Yeah.
So the only thing we got down here is like Bosch, and it's not even like their Bosch power tool plant down here. They make computer chips down here. And then we have like Volvo, Mercedes, Shimano, and Boeing are like the big companies down here.
Well, your Boeing is huge there.
If they're going to get Boeing to sponsor Haven, that'd be funny.
Yeah, that would be funny.
I have a Hobby Lobby.
I'll come to that. I love Hobby Lobby. I could spend all my money in Hobby Lobby.
That's about as big as I get here.
But it would be fun. I mean, I thought it was cool. The warehouses were really industrial. It was like perfect setting for talking about woodworking.
Except for that one room.
Which one?
The one that we had the Inventables panel in. That had the holes in the roof. Like, I felt like the room was going to fall down around me.
So that one was a little different. But the other ones were good.
Yeah.
Like the main one, and then the other one that was like the main one where the bar was.
Yeah, that was pretty. Yeah. So they had one that had like this bar set up in it, and we had on Saturday night like this like open bar there, and it was pretty cool. It felt very like industrial, chic, So, all right,
definitely, if you are thinking about doing it next year, check it out and buy your tickets. It will be fun.
Yeah, hopefully they don't wait too long to announce when it's going to be
and where.
Yeah.
So you all can find out. But we would love to thank our patrons, Michael Brindle, Devin Richter, Sean McHenry, Carl Mose, Neil Sims, and you had to throw in a new one there.
Added a couple.
Eric Rhoten. Sorry if I said that wrong. You guys already know, if you listen to us, I'm really bad at reading and sounding things out. But if you would like to support the show, you can head over to woodshop101podcast.com/listen. Find the show notes for today's episode, and there will be links for small one-time donations and reoccurring donations. If you want to become a patron to our Patreon campaign, then head over to patreon.com/woodshop101. You can buy a Woodshop 101 podcast t-shirt, hoodie, or Rev Marker Pack. Head to countrysideworkshop.com/shop for the link.
I was gonna sit here and stare at you.
I know. Well, I like wasn't looking at you. I was like, oh, don't look at Drew. Don't look at Drew. Drew always makes me laugh. So.
But before I call you out for missing a patron.
Now it has one.
It wasn't there.
Okay, so I just want to know because it's online. Yeah, so Bryan Collette, his came in last night, so I just threw it in today. But do you know who Eric? I don't even know how to say it. Rhoten. Yeah, you know who that is?
The wood sign guy.
Yeah,
He is the nicest guy.
He is. He's awesome, and his wife is so nice too.
Yeah.
So.
When we saw them when we were leaving, and I was like, he came in for a handshake, and I was like, no, a hug. And they were like learning how to film stories. They are the nicest couple ever.
Yeah.
So,
they're talking about doing some traveling and doing some collaborations. So I think he was talking to Sadie, Awesome Orange, about because they're doing one together because they're only like, I don't know, hour maybe from each other.
Nice.
I mean, I'm guessing. I know they're both in Arizona. So I'm just assuming everybody's an hour from each other in Arizona.
Geographical oddity.
Yeah. I mean, just like everybody assumes that if you live in Texas, you're like 10 hours from everybody. So.
Yeah. And I have a collab coming with someone that was on our podcast, but I'm not going to say anything until it's like set in stone. So someone that was on our podcast, be on the lookout for a collab coming soon.
That one will be pretty awesome.
Yeah. So I'm
what
really
you know
excited.
about it too?
I was there.
We'll tell you after the show.
Yeah.
I feel so in the dark.
She told me too.
Yeah. I already told everyone, but you, Drew.
You're the only.
Ooh, am I the collab? Is that what it is?
Yes, it's you. It's you. You won.
So,
Collab with Sam and Gramps.
All right, Rob. You want to tell us?
I'm just kidding.
No, he's not.
No, he's not. Don't say. Pretend like you're not kidding. I already told Rob.
All right, Rob.
But maybe I'm kidding about kidding.
Oh,
Yeah.
see, look.
There we go.
All right. Well, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself for those of us that don't know your background and your Instagram and everything like that?
Yeah, sure. So, just a little bit about myself. I have 3 kids, 13, 8, and 5. My 13-year-old's about to be 14, so he's heading into high school. And we're going to get into it a little bit, but it sounds like. But he does a lot of sanding for me. I've been married. It'll be 10 years this year to my wife, who thinks this is all hysterical. So as far as the Instagram, I've been doing this Instagram thing, let's see here, I would say about almost a year and a half, the account is. And so it really started for me when I moved into our new house about 3 years ago. I started doing some stuff for the kids. So we built a playhouse. They wanted just various stuff around the house. The kids did, And so we had a bigger house. We had more space. And so we started doing that. And then I realized that my personal Instagram account, I try to be real conscious of what my friends and family are subjected to. So I created this other account so that, my friends and family could decide if they wanted to see the stuff. Also, too, because for the longest time, my other account was private. And so I felt like, if I wanted to do this, I wanted to join the community because I found that with my other account, I found that there was a community. So I wanted to kind of jump 2 feet in. And in order to do that, I really wanted to have kind of a separate account.
Nice.
Yeah.
I don't even think I have a personal account.
I know. I had a personal account. I think I had 2 pictures posted on it.
I very rarely use that. So, just a little bit more about me. So, obviously, I am not a full-time woodworker. So, I am a full-time social worker. I've been doing it for about 20 years. And so, for the better part of my career, I've worked with kids in foster care. So I run a program. There's a few of us, but we run a program in the kind of Buffalo, Western New York area, working with kids in care with high needs. So disabilities, emotional disorders, medical problems.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's sad though. I that's a lot. Emotional, toll on you probably. So then woodworking is nice to get out into the shop.
Yeah, so to come home and kind of get an opportunity to, I think, go out there and just get a minute, because quite frankly, I have 3 kids, so my wife doesn't want to hear about work. My friends and family don't want to hear about work, and quite frankly, due to lots of HIPAA laws, nobody should hear about work. So it's really a difficult. Social work is an interesting thing because you're helping in whatever capacity, in whatever field of social work that you're in. You're kind of helping folks through their lives, but then you as a social worker kind of come home and you don't have an opportunity really to share any of that. So it can be tough.
Yeah, that is tough.
Yeah,
it's hard.
Well, let's jump into a little bit what's going on in the shop. Since we've been home, I haven't really been in the shop very much. I've kind of had a coming back renewed spirit of getting the business stuff more in line. So I've spent the better part of the week going through and rebranding the entire company. Drew and Sam, for a while I've had a new logo. Probably 6 months now, and I've kind of just put it on the back burner to rebrand, and I finally was like, this is the week. So I've been spending a lot of time on the computer. I'm talking midnight, 1 o'clock every day, rebranding and trying to get a nice consistent look and feel across all channels between Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, all that stuff. So I be hitting this weekend back out in the shop. Hopefully we'll be done with most of my computer work. So,
well, I'm liking the new brand. I think it looks really good. And on the back of your truck, whenever you're doing your stories in your truck, you can kind of see it behind you. I think that's pretty cool too.
That is cool.
I didn't even pay attention to that. Now I'm going to have to pay attention to it when I do my stories.
That reminds me. Sorry, I'm totally going off on another subject. The I make gone for Virginia. I wonder, I was going to do a story and says, who has that? Because I will pay you to get rid of it and give it to me. And maker gone too. Both. Just wanted to tell you, Jeremy.
No. Let me look into it.
Well, I'm in New York.
You have New York?
No. DeResta has New York.
Oh.
He has both of them. He has I make and maker.
Yes, he does. So I'm out.
You're out. I know. I was like, who has Virginia? Hubby.
I'm just going to get DeResta on mine.
There you go.
You should.
Until he agrees to trade it.
I don't know if Oklahoma's taken. I've had Craftsman forever.
I've thought about getting my wife's car for the maker.
I know. I was really sad. I was doing it at the airport on Sunday. Nope, gone. So if you can figure out who has Virginia,
if they've posted it, I'm looking and I don't see it. There's Puerto Rico, there's Montana, New Mexico, Texas, Maine. So if they have it, they haven't posted it to
the page or whatever.
Yeah.
So, well, maybe I'll try again. Maybe I was typing in the wrong state. Who knows?
Guess you're moving.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Just to get the license plate.
No, I am not moving.
South Carolina's taken. I think Michael Brindle has it. I'm not entirely sure, but I know South Carolina's taken.
Michael Jeremy will pay you for it.
No, I don't want it. I want Texas.
Just play it.
Who has Texas?
Me.
Oh. Me.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not switching to South Carolina because I'm not paying like the ridiculous property taxes here.
You'll go back to Texas.
Oh, I'm definitely going back to Texas. In fact, I think I told Sam while we were in Workbench Con, if somebody were to tell me like right now you have to leave Workbench Con, go home, pack your stuff, and move back to Texas, I'd have said peace out, everybody, I'm gone.
Yeah.
Like
I remember we were talking about it.
I love South Carolina. It's just too busy down here. Like all these towns here were always designed to be smaller towns, and now all these companies are coming in here, and we have a 2-lane interstate that literally runs across the state. So for me to get to work, I got to take this 2-lane interstate with another million people trying to move to Charleston. So
yeah.
See, I think of Texas, and the only thing I think is sunburn. So
yeah, you probably shouldn't go.
Yeah,
No.
I'll
get the Canadian plate.
That's why everybody
there you go.
in Texas you see usually with long sleeve shirts in the summer and hats.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound fun.
No, not at all. I'll keep my summers here in Virginia.
All right, Drew, well, what do you got going on?
Well, the development that I guess everybody is aware of what was coming. I am now full-time woodworker. I have officially cut back my hours to PRN. And I haven't even been put on the schedule for this month. So I'm basically like on a month vacation, if not more. So I'm currently working on the Murphy bed. I'm putting the stain on today. I put a little bit on before I had to go pick up my daughter. I spent a lot of time sanding that sucker to make sure it was smooth before I stuck the stain on it. And then I will be putting a coat of lacquer on probably on Monday. Probably actually 2 coats of lacquer. And let's see, after that, tomorrow I've got a business meeting with one of my clients to close a contract. And then another closing of a contract will be done later that afternoon. And then I got to drive to Shawnee and back. I'm not going to get any woodworking done tomorrow. I've just pretty much committed to that. And then let's see, I had a client drop by the house the other day that lives in my neighborhood, and she had a cabinet door that was damaged and wanted to know if I could either make a brand new one or fix that one. And it wasn't bad broken. It looks like just one of the stiles had kind of come loose and had a little bit of splintering, but it was a clean break and all the pieces were still there. So I basically just took that stile off in my shop, used some DAP Rapid Fuse with some activator so it would set really, really quick, and had it fixed in under 20 minutes and gave it back to her. So
nice.
That was a nice fix. And let's see, tonight, right before the podcast, I had to go do a yard ornament install for another client. He just called me and asked if I could hang it for him because it was going to be mounted in brick, and he wasn't too familiar with doing that. So that was about another 20-minute ordeal, and I came home.
Nice.
So I've been kind of busy. It's stacking up, and the contracts are starting to come in. So I'm getting happy that I'm getting behind. That's if that sounds right.
Yes, definitely. I feel like when you become full time. I mean, I'm not full time yet, but there's a lot of running around, meeting clients, and then there's days where you're like, oh man, I didn't even get in the shop. That stinks.
Yeah,
I'm supposed to be woodworking. Yeah.
At all.
There's all these little things that you don't realize that you need to do.
That and the expense of starting it. Even though I have all the tools and everything I need was ready to go, but all those hidden expenses that came up once I created my LLC, my EIN number, liability insurance, registering for my taxes. I mean, there's all kinds. Oh, and my accountant. Crap, that was a lot of money. So, I just did not expect that much. But, I mean, my account right now is very dwindled. I had to put some birthday and Christmas money back into my account just to kind of get back into a comfortable position because I'm so close to finishing this Murphy bed, which will be a nice payoff. But I got to get it done first.
Yes, I know. It's nerve-wracking when you're you see your account, and I always take my like my first half deposit, 50%, and put it into my checking. And then the last 50%, I put in my savings, and I don't touch it until like I need something for the business or, pay myself and Gramps and all of that. But it's hard. It's definitely hard.
Jeremy, there's something I did learn. You know how we were talking about the LLC on the last episode?
Yeah.
Your taxes actually, it's kind of like a flow through. So your personals can also help your business. It's not completely separated as far as taxes go. Now, if you want to put yourself on payroll, then you are going to have to file for unemployment tax.
Yeah.
And as the owner and the only employee, I don't have to do that. So I can just keep myself as an employee, but not on the payroll, which will help with my personal taxes as well.
Yeah. So
Nice.
all right. Well, what do you got going on, Sam?
We are currently working on still the 3 tables. One is a big white oak table. And then I have 2 red oak tables. So one is the bent lamination, which we have the top completely done. So this weekend we'll probably start bending the apron and whatnot, which is new to me. Tomorrow I have a meeting, and then I'll be in the shop, and I have to build like a quick little table for our horizontal router that we just got. So I'll be taking the day off to work on that, so I can roll it around, because it's on the table that we need to use, the really big like staining table. We still have enough room to do the bent lamination, but it's not enough room. The Gramps wants more, so I have to whip together a little table. And we got these new casters, which are pretty cool, polyurethane casters. They roll so nicely, so I'll be whipping that up quickly.
Where'd you
tomorrow.
get the casters at?
Amazon. Super cheap too.
Send me the link for them, because I gotta order casters, and I keep putting it off because I need to order casters to finish that little rolling bench I made with Simpson strong tie stuff. So
I know. Stop. I'm gonna stop. Don't make me do it again. No one else beyond.
Yeah.
And my eyes look like I'm crying. I know, but it's been going really well. And then I have some other stuff coming up after, which I'm really excited. But this white oak table is like my favorite. So actually we have some flats on, some quarters on, and some riffs on. So like all mixed together, it looks really, really good. So I'm really excited. My client specifically does not like the cathedral grain. So I had to like look at each piece and be like, okay, that's a good one. We'll take that. So I'm waiting on a couple more pieces, and I can't do the top until I have those pieces. So I'm excited. That one will be fun.
Nice.
But that's really it.
All right, Rob, what about you? What do you got going on?
So for me, I actually have just a friend of mine connected with me on what amounts to kind of replacing this oval glass tabletop he's got. They're changing over kind of the style of their house. So he actually did up a template for me, so I don't have to get crazy with one of those cool oval jigs. But he actually did up a template. So I've got that going on, and that's actually kind of a cool project because it's going to be two-toned. So the center of this table is actually going to be one color that will match the floor. Well, as close as we can get to the floor. And then the outside is actually going to match the kind of the base that's already there. So the base is already at the house. Like we're not doing anything with the base. It's just him and his wife have changed things over. So we're gonna do a new top for them. And then obviously I've really been kind of digging deep in the winter here because it's so darn cold that I've been digging deep into the CNC. So I'm really kind of learning the program, which is probably the big learning curve. Putting it together was no problem. Shapeoko is they're great. Their support team is great. And so they worked through some troubleshooting with me that I had, and then I've been able to actually help some folks that got Shapeokos afterwards through there is because I pretty much like took my time and learned everything I could about the machine, so that down the road, if I had an issue, I could name the part, so the software is actually something that I'm kind of digging deep into right now. So that's something that's really, kind of, I guess, what I'm working on.
Nice. Yeah. I want a CNC so bad.
Did you
eventually?
Did you get your logo done there at WorkbenchCon on the CNC?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I did not.
No. I saw yours. I saw your post whenever
I didn't. They told me I could, but then the line was always like, there was always someone there, so I was like, I'll wait.
Yeah.
For when I have mine. I'm just kidding.
So I would like to have a bigger CNC. I just don't. Right now, I don't have room. I would definitely need a different, at least another probably 10 feet in the shop to do it. But the little Carvey that Inventables has, like I was playing.
That was cool.
I was playing with that one, and that I really like that, and it's so quiet. Mm-hmm. And so I was thinking, I'll get that, and I could put it here in my office. But then my kids are always going to be in here wanting to carve everything. Like, put this crayon in here. Like, my son's sticking his sister's hand in there trying to get carved. Like, I just see it going bad really quick.
Yeah, that would be horrible.
I'm going to brand my sister.
Yeah.
I could say having mine's 4 foot by 4 foot is the XXL. And I could tell you guys that and anybody out there that's considering a CNC, even if it's like not in the cards like right at the moment to get the big one, I could tell you if you went with a smaller one like you're talking about with the Inventables or the Shapeoko has like the like $1,000 one, get it. It'll pay for itself in 3 to 4 months. It's not even funny. Like, I don't even have the time right now to kind of dedicate like fully like my efforts to just CNC, because for me, I'm, just like you guys, like there's 15 other projects you're working on. So, and if I dedicated the time to it, and that's what I decided like this year I was going to invest in, I could have it paid off in 2 months.
Yeah.
Easily, like hands down, if not sooner, if that's what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
Because you get that, I get a ton of questions on the CNC, and that's probably the number one question is, my wife and I are talking about it, and do I get it? Do I pull the trigger? And honestly, I say, listen, if you've got the money to put up front, I could tell you right now, and you have some idea as to what you want to make, not just like, I want to get it because it's cool. Like if you have a plan, then you'll have it paid off in 2 months.
Yeah, I know. I keep looking at it. I'm like, pay for itself.
Easily.
And then I'm like, I need to redo not redo, but we need to reconfigure the shop a little because we just got that horizontal routing table. But I was thinking the same thing. I was like, I could just get a small one. But then I was like, I'm not going to want that small one in like a month. I'm going to want the big one. And then I'm going to be, mad because what if I want to put something big through it and then I have the small one. So I definitely think going XXL first. Right off the bat.
Mine is that Piranha, and it has a 12 by 12 cutting area. But I can make as big of anything as I want as long as I tile the cutting surface area. I mean, I can make something huge, but it would have to be in 12 by 12 tiles. So I can make, like, if I wanted to make my logo on my back cabinetry, as long as the board was 12 inches wide, I can feed it in infinite length, as long as it was tiled each time, and then take another 12 by 12 and tile that through, and then put them together, and I would have a 24-inch wide project by however long I wanted it to be.
That's cool.
It takes a little bit more effort, but because it's a space saver in my shop, I can do huge projects with a little bitty machine.
Yeah.
So are they heavy?
They're not like, so the big, I mean, it's all MDF. So, I mean, a good chunk of the actual surface area with the Shapeoko is just MDF. And then the rails are, I mean, it's all like aluminum. So, I mean, it's pretty light. I honestly, the carriage and the router are probably the thickest pieces of equipment on the Shapeoko. I'll tell you the other thing that I've considered is if I did get another one, like you just said, Sam, like, you know, go with the XXL, like go with the big one, because I do have the XXL, and I know that is a lot of the makers, a lot of the, you know, our peers have that one. I couldn't speak to having like the smaller one first, like Drew has, right? I think this is, but the bottom line is, like, if I were to add one, I would probably add a smaller one, because I've got this space in my shop where I store like lumber that I could definitely make like a slide out like shelf and pull and kind of set up a smaller one out in the shop that I could utilize, you know, for, I don't know, small parts and smaller signs, things like that, or even be able to run that when I've got, you know, I don't want to run it, like right now I can't run it because my kids are sleeping and it's in my basement. So if I want to run it, if I want to run a you know, a sign or do something smaller, I could run that in my shop outside.
Yeah. That's a good point. Now I really want one.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Ed.
Yeah. We need the helical head first. So.
Oh, for your planer?
For my, our joiner.
Your joiner,
because we have some nicks in it, but.
Still haven't fixed those nicks, have you?
No. Because we're like, we're just going to get the helical head. Why should like do anything about it? But then we're like, well, we can't take it out and like fully like do everything because we have so many like jobs lined up. So hopefully after these 3 tables, it's in my grandpa's cart. And today it was funny because I was doing a video on Instagram about the product recommendation that I have in the show notes. And it is amazing. I use it all the time. Another a fellow woodworker recommended it to me, and I used it to get the little mill marks from the joiner. Yeah, the nicks in the blade from the joiner, and it came off perfect. I was like, maybe we don't even need the helical head. I'll just keep using this. My grandpa was like, no, we are getting that.
I mean, let's work smarter.
Yeah,
whatever Grandpa wants, Grandpa gets.
Yep, he gets paid. He has like, an envelope with his like earnings from Sam Rein Designs, and it's a benefit for me because it all goes back into the shop. So that's exciting.
Grandpa wants a CNC.
I know. I'm like, Gramps, we need a CNC. He's like, not yet. And I'm like, come on, just like, let's do it already. We also need a drill press. His drill press is really old. We keep looking at the Powermatic drill press because he has a lot of Powermatic tools, but we have yet to pull the trigger. So
Jeremy has to get one that matches.
Yeah.
He can't just buy anything. It's
you know what?
match.
Over the evolution of this podcast, Drew, and you've kind of noticed certain things about yourselves, and I've noticed like I'm less particular now about my tools matching.
Well, that's good.
I mean,
that's expensive.
I would like them to match, but I don't think any one manufacturer makes every tool great. I think, like I love my Rikon lathe, my Rikon 10-inch bandsaw. But if I'm going to a drill press, Rikon doesn't necessarily make one that has some of the bells and whistles that I want. I want a variable speed. I don't want belt driven. But they don't make that, so I'm gonna have to go look for it elsewhere. So I'm starting not to be as particular. I'm starting to look more as to practicality and features that make the job go by a little bit easier.
Starting to think like a man.
Yeah, I'm starting to think more practical. I got enough OCD things in my life. I gotta try to drop some of them.
Yeah.
And now that I'm making my kids OCD, it gets pretty bad in the house. So
at least when they brand each other, it'll be right.
There you go.
Yeah, because they're OCD.
I'm not
It'll be on
necessarily
both
concerned.
arms.
I'm not necessarily concerned. My son's going to brand my daughter. More or less,
your
my
daughter
3-year-old is going to brand my 7-year-old.
Yeah, I could see that. She's
It'll be
gonna take
even, though.
control.
Yeah, exactly. She's crazy. I love that little girl to death, but man, she is crazy.
Yeah, she's like Maddie.
So
They'd be a terror together.
Okay. Well, I guess we can go ahead and get started in on these questions. Sam actually posted a story on her Instagram page not too long ago and asked for some questions and got some pretty good feedback. But we also had a question that was sent in by email to the Woodshop 101 podcast email. And we've been kind of holding on to it, and now it's finally time to kind of release it and talk about it. So this was from Dylan of Dylan's Woodworking. He said, Hey, I'm a huge fan of your podcast. I never get tired of you guys. So here's my question. I went to a woodworking show in Columbus, Ohio a couple of weeks ago. I sat through a seminar that Bill Bush taught about proper sanding and finishing. He talked about what all the numbers mean on the back of a sheet of sandpaper. Apparently, there are different types. I figured maybe you guys could elaborate on different types of sandpaper you guys like to use and what sanding techniques you employ. Thanks for reading. P.S. I'd like to give a shout out to CR Lumber. They have an excellent selection of domestic and exotic hardwoods. They also specialize in figured woods, and I encourage all of you guys to check them out.
some CR Lumbers in Columbus, Ohio. I'm going to put 2 and 2 together and say that's probably where it's at.
If that's where he lives, yeah.
I don't know. So I've tried to do my research on this numbering system that he says, and all the sandpaper I have in my shop only has the grit number on the back.
That's all.
So I'm not entirely sure like what sandpaper he was talking about.
Yeah, I only have grit too.
I mean, there is definitely different types, and I don't know, as far as like from other manufacturers. I know Festool, right? Festool has many different types. They have like their Reuben, Reuben 2, their Garnet, their Platin, and they're all the how the grit is adhered to the paper is different, and they're made for different things. Like your Reuben 2 is made for like raw wood only. Their Garnet is made for like raw wood and like some finishing, so you can sand some finishes with it. Their Platin is, if I remember right, sticks to like some of the higher grits, so they do like a lot of polishing and stuff with the Platin. And there's several others. But as far as like you're talking on one side of the spectrum that's like really expensive sandpaper. Like for 10 sheets of sandpaper of Reuben 2 or Garnet, I pay $15. That's insane. What are you laughing about?
I was Googling different types of sandpaper.
So,
and then I was looking at Drew.
As far as like what you're gonna find in your home center, like Gator Finishing or Diablo, Shopsmith, any of those, I don't know what they would consider theirs to be. So like I said, I looked at all the stuff I have, and I didn't see any other numbers besides the grit number. I mean, even the stuff from Festival doesn't have anything. It's color coordinated. It's different colors of paper, but no numbers. So maybe we get into like, what kind of paper do you use? What is Rob? What's your paper?
Yeah. So let me talk about sandpaper. So in August, if you guys aren't aware, you probably are because you're really smart people. So in August,
I know.
Yeah, she knows. She knows. So I
know because I was talking to this person about you today.
Yes, you were. You probably were. I talked to this. She mentioned you today too. So I went out to Ohio which is not far from, is it Dylan Woodworking? Correct, right? So I went out to Ohio in August with my son, and we partnered with Gator to work on some projects. They have this program called Project DIY, and they used to have a staff member who was shooting those videos for them. And so they don't have that staff member anymore. So I got talking with Penny from Gator, who everybody knows and loves. And you guys were cool enough to spend some time with her at Workbench Con. So we kind of orchestrated me coming out there and shooting some DIY videos, just basic stuff, that everybody can do. We really wanted to make it something that was at a comfort level for most of kind of the community, as well as kind of stuff that people could do and not have to worry about having a Festool domino. That was really like where we kind of got to. So one of the first things that we did when I got there is I literally spent 4 hours touring Gator finishing. Okay. So I got to see how sandpaper was made. Obviously I've spent, the last year having plenty of conversations with Penny, with the staff at Gator. And I could tell you this. So some facts that are, I think, little known is that a lot of sandpaper that is at the stores that you get, whether it be AutoZone or Ace Hardware, is actually made at Gator by Gator. It's the same stuff. It's packaged, it's colored differently, but it's all the same. It's all the same stuff. It's made the same way. So I'm not going to get too much into detail on how they make their paper, because quite frankly, I didn't take a lot of videos out of respect to them bringing me out. And, I know that can tend to be like intellectual property. So I'm not going to get into like how it's made specifically, but I could tell you this, that they also make Shopsmith, which is crazy. So to answer one of these questions, as far as like, Jeremy, you were mentioning the Festool and the differences in the grit and how they're made for certain things. I could tell you this. So Festool Shopsmith is made right there at Gator. It's really just a different mix of the grits. So what is in the grit is what is the difference. The actual process is a lot the same. So it kind of goes through, the paper goes through, there's a glue adhesive agent that gets put on the paper. The grit, it kind of rolls through the grit. And then after it's done, I can tell you one of the differences and one of the reasons that I went with Gator last year, when I really started to get into the woodworking community and really started doing stuff for other people, friends and family. What I switched over because when I started using Gator, I noticed that everything I was doing, whether let's say I was making a bench, right? And so from one side of the bench to the other, the grit remained the same, and you could tell that, you could see that, and I'm not going to name what papers I was using before. Okay, it's to me, I think that you use what is available to you. I'm really big on that. So like if that's what you want to use, I personally choose Gator. I love it. I'll speak about it all day long. But when I would start like a project, like a bench, from one side of the bench to the other, with other papers that I had used, I noticed that as it was heating up and as I was using it, the grit was kind of like going away. So while I was at Gator, and got a little education on paper, there is a coating that Gator puts on their paper, which is fairly heat resistant. So one of the things that I quickly realized was the paper that I was getting and using from Gator was lasting me through the project. I wasn't going and replacing four 80 grit, sanding discs every 3 minutes. I was buying 50 packs of other stuff and going through it like on one project. It was ridiculous. So, and that's the case for everything. So that, when you started getting into like the sanding belts, right? With other projects, I have the rigid belt sanders, right? So if I was using the rigid belt sander, if you guys have used a belt sander, I mean, the second that you use that, within like 30 seconds, that thing is hot. The belt's hot, everything's hot. So, you start moving that around, and the belt was ripping. There was, belts I was using were ripping. And so when I got the gate, I can tell you right now, I've never had a Gator belt rip. And dollar for dollar, I'm sure that everybody, out there is listening, that there's other papers that people use, and, Festool is ridiculously expensive, and I don't have any Festool products, so I wouldn't have it. But for my money, Gator really made a huge difference. I remember the first time that I used it. My son, who, like I said, does a lot of sanding, he came out into the shop, and he kind of put his hand over the top. It might have been a tabletop. I don't even know what I was doing at the time. But I remember he ran his hand over the top of this table, and it was just... You guys still there?
Yeah, we're here.
Yep.
Sorry. My kid's school called. They have no school. It's snowing out. And so anyway, so he ran his hand through the tabletop, and he was like just floored, just absolutely floored, because it was such a difference in the paper.
I was talking with Penny, and she was telling me that, first off, Penny is amazing. She is super nice. And
well, if you're gonna drop names, maybe tell people who Penny is.
Well, we did. Penny, Rube.
Rube. Did you say it wrong?
Rube did.
Rob was talking about Penny.
I must have missed it that you said who she was. All right.
But Penny is she works for Gator, and she runs their social media page. So she's super nice. If you have any questions, you can definitely ask her. She will answer them. But she was telling me at Workbench that their 80 is all 80, and their 100 is all 100. Where other sandpaper people, might mix a little bit of 80 and a little bit of 100 and a couple different, grits, which is cool because you're getting a true 80, true 100, true 120. So on and so forth. So I really thought that's cool. Plus,
what's
their
after
micro
120?
zip, 120 is 150. And then after 150 is 180, and then 200 and 220. No, there's no 200.
No.
Just go
I think
180.
there's 200.
220.
Yeah.
No.
180, 220. But I don't go. I go 80, 120, 150. And then I scooch all the way to 220. I don't go anymore. I just go 220. We have my grandpa has a box of a bunch in a line, and there's more above 220, and I stop at 220.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, you go 320, 400, 600, 800. It keeps going, but that's getting in more for polishing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, I use, and the only reason I don't use Gator for discs is because they don't make the 6-inch that fits the Festool. Nobody does.
Right.
And
it's a patent.
Yes. But
the whole pattern.
There's ways around it. The way they stop people from doing it is they change it all the time. In fact, I just got an email saying that they're releasing in April their new, I don't know, whatever they call it, the Jetstream 2 or whatever, which the whole pattern, it looks like it's slightly different. They're adding a whole pattern. I couldn't really tell, but it looked slightly different. And I told Penny that, and she was like, well, that's why no other company can make paper for the Festool platform. It just,
right.
And so, I went to the 6-inch disc sander with Festool for the dust collection point of it. But at some point, you still have to use other sandpaper somewhere. Like a disc is not going to get everything. And so all my hand sanding, I mean, my packs of sandpaper, all my blocks, everything like that is Gator. And I made that switch about a year ago. I think I still have some 3M product because my mom bought it for me for Christmas one year. She was went crazy and bought me all this packs of 100 sandpaper for like all the grits, and Mom, I'm never going to use all that sandpaper, but I like it, and I think they're very they're taking the market by storm, especially with like their little micro zips and things like that.
I know.
Like
those things are like my favorite and are awesome.
Sam, you ever you use them on your nails at all?
No, that's a good idea. No.
So I don't. Right?
Look what happened on my drum sander though. Can you all see that?
Yeah, yes. I can see that. That's great. It looks wonderful.
It stuck my finger.
I wonder if any of the ladies out there are using those micro zips on their nails.
I'm sure. I mean, it
has to be happening, right?
Yeah, it was so funny because we were at.
Drew is down here in the corner. I'm pretty positive he's got a smile and he's doing that.
Yeah, I'm just laughing that I'm probably going to see a story from Sam tomorrow.
Oh yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to share my nails. But it was so funny because Tim from didn't Tim tour it too? Tour the plant?
So Tim and Kyle. So Tim lives in Ohio and Kyle was up there. He's got family up there, so they got a tour as well. So we laughed afterwards because like it's really hard to explain what this place looks like. It's an amazing setup. I mean, if you're like at all interested in like American like factories, like really like keeping a lot of stuff industry in the States, it's an interesting company to kind of learn about. They pretty much do everything they need. It's a complete horizontal company where they do everything from their packaging. Penny actually, what people don't realize is because she's in the marketing department, her background is actually like graphic arts. So she is like super crazy talented, and she does pretty much like all the displays and the artwork and stuff. Her department, it's not just her, but her department creates all of those displays, all the artwork, everything for their brand. So it's a really cool facility to visit if you're ever in Ohio.
It would be cool to see how everything is made. But I was laughing because Tim must have had like a ton of the micro zips like lined here, and they looked like little peeps. Yep. And Sadie May from the Awesome Orange, I hung out with her a lot over the weekend, and Jeremy. And someone said they're like lady. What did they say?
Peeps. Somebody said they look like peeps.
Yeah,
and she said they look like little lady things.
Said that. No, someone else. Someone else said little lady things. Well, anyways, it was really funny. And I ruined the story because I couldn't remember. But yes, it was like little lady things. But that picture was so cool. He had like a bunch lined up. I was like, it's so funny. Me and my grandpa, I was like, it looks like a peep.
So when I went there, that actually is like, it's like all of the peeps and the micro zips and all of the foam products, right? So like the sponges and everything, they're made in like one huge like shop, right? Yeah. So it's one section of their facility and it's all foam. It's actually like this two-part, it's liquid. It's literally like a two-part epoxy. And so they mix it. It's crazy, which it's funny because if you would have asked me like 2 years ago, if I would have had that much fun touring, like learning how to make sandpaper and how they make foam, I would have laughed at you, right? But I was like glued. Like I talked to everybody all the time. And here I am like dead silent in this factory going through learning about how they make these sponges. And they have trays, like there's trays of these things like in a cafeteria at the high school, right? From
that
lunch
is awesome.
They have trays of these peeps / micro zip / nail files. Like
/ little duck heads. They look like little duck heads.
/ lady parts or whatever you say.
little lady things.
It's ridiculous. It's so cool. It's so cool.
It is really cool. If I'm ever up there.
So I'm
going to
back.
Cleveland eventually here shortly. So Cleveland's in Ohio, right?
Yes, Cleveland's about 3 hours from me, and that's about halfway from me to
Gator.
To Gator, yeah. So they're like right north of Cincinnati. So I talked to Penny today, and we were discussing this and like if it came up, but we are working out the details for me to go back this spring. So we did shoot 2 or 3 different project videos. One was already released on Gator's YouTube and mine. So there's another one that's kind of being edited. And then we're working out the details for like late spring, maybe early summer for me to go back. So that'd be cool.
That will be cool. That's awesome.
Their shop is cooler than any shop I've ever seen, except Sam's, which is awesome.
Thanks. Gramps.
I was going to say that's because she has a Gramps.
Gramps' shop is like ridiculous, but Gator's shop is also another piece to see, which I think that's something to be said for a lot of these companies, you know. I think we take that for granted. It's like, okay, so we all have their tools, right? And so they come out, but then you listen to them like pop up on podcasts, like you listen to Ed on that podcast, the other podcast, or like some of these tool reps, and like they all have cool shops at their building.
Yeah.
Where they get to play with this stuff all day.
That would be so fun.
Right. It's so cool.
That's like not a job. That's just fun.
Yeah. I know that's like when I go to Cleveland, I will be going to also a tool, factory, which I'm not going to name until I'm back. But I'm really excited because I'm like, I just want to play with everything and see like how it's made and like how everything like comes together. I think that's so cool. I would love to play in like the rigid factory. That would be fun, trying out all the new rigid tools and like playing with them. I would like to go in the Fez tool. Like that would be fun. Like, I'll try out that track saw and play with it all day.
Yes. All day.
That would be awesome.
All the days.
All the days. I'll come and play. And then I could take one home with me. That would be awesome.
You break it, you take it home. I think it's the rule,
right?
I
dropped it. Oh my gosh, I have to take it. That would be awesome. So, but yeah.
Never mind an expensive paperweight.
If it was that easy, I'd go drop everything. Walk down Home Depot out. Oh, I need a new router. Oops, I dropped it. Gotta take it home.
That one's broke. I think it's 70% off, right?
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
It's like the dented can discount.
That just reminds me of what was the movie with Adam Sandler? And he's teaching the kid to throw the cans on the ground. He says,
"Yep,
Big Daddy."
Oh,
yes,
yeah,
Big Daddy.
Yep. Frankenstein.
Eating the ketchup.
Okay, let's see.
Ketchup and ranch is so good.
No, it's not. That is so disgusting.
At least I don't eat peanut butter and jelly on my sandwich.
I didn't eat jelly.
Peanut butter on my
normal.
Time out. Please, everybody email us. Which one would you rather eat? A peanut butter hamburger or your crispy French fries dipped in ketchup and ranch?
No, so not both. They're mixed together.
Well, yeah, like I dip it in one and then I dip it in the other and then it accidentally gets mixed together. Jay liked it. He even tasted it and said, "Oh, it's actually pretty good." And everyone else was hating on it. I'm not
entirely sure that's what he said.
Okay, so email us peanut butter hamburger or fries with ranch and ketchup.
This has got to be the weirdest poll I've ever heard.
I'm going to put it on my Instagram story tomorrow, too. And it's going to be a poll.
I'm going to put it on mine.
Downhill
I know.
Quick.
Sorry, I just had to say something because he reminded me of it. But let's get back on topic. So we have a couple more questions for Rob.
I'm only seeing one.
Yeah,
I'll read them. I got it.
Okay.
I'll take it from here, guys.
Here.
Wow.
How did you get started woodworking?
Okay, so it's funny because I think my answer starts with it's the same answer that a lot of us have, which is like I couldn't fix anything. Not because I couldn't, but because I am so oppositional by my nature that I didn't want to. So if I didn't want to do something, then I really don't want to do it, and I'll pretty much just not do it. And so I was I grew up with my dad, who worked for a major furniture company when I was a kid. In fact, his best friend bought the whole company later on. I actually was just out there this week. It's Ginger Furniture. So a lot of their furniture's in the White House. Like, so I grew up like kind of around that with my dad. He had a whole shop in the basement when we were kids. And for the most part, I talk a lot, and my dad is like super reserved and super like just chilled out and like very, very OCD. And so like for me, I was bouncing off the walls and not safe in the shop. So I was really hard probably for me to really want to kind of sit still to learn anything like that. But it turns out that I actually was paying attention while I was riding my big wheel through the shop past the bandsaw, while it was humming. So that's like kind of that's like the history on it. But then what ended up happening was I bought a house. And so I think that's like the second part to everybody's story, not just mine, which is you buy a house and you're really flipping poor. So you are like, you know what? Like, I need to tear up this carpet and I got to sand the floor. And like, I don't want to pay for that. So I'm going to do it myself. And like, I need to work on the kitchen, and like, oh, look at that. Like the tile's falling off in the bathroom. So like, I'm going to start buying some tools and fixing that. And it was awful. And I did a really garbage job of it. But like, then we bought another house, and the house was nicer. And my kids started getting older, and I was able to kind of like start doing some stuff. And the last part of the answer is that my kids wanted like a playhouse, and I started looking around, and I was like, you know what? Like, I can go on Craigslist and I can pick one up, and all these people, they wanted like $1,000 for some playhouse that looked like I needed to fix it anyways. And then right. It's funny because we've all seen it, right? So you go on a Facebook marketplace, and there's like 14 different like playhouses in the spring, and every one of them looks like it's a death trap. And so I said, I'm not spending $1,000 at. Sorry guys, they're never going to talk to me after that. Can you edit that? So I'm not going to spend $1,000 at a store, right, to buy a kit that's like 2x2, and I have at the time I had an 11-year-old and like a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, and I'm like, I'm not spending like all that money for something that they, in a year from now, none of them are going to fit up on that landing. So I got this crazy idea to make one, and I text my wife. I was at work, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to make one. And she's like, You can do it? And I was like, yep, I'm going to do it. So and I actually have some pictures, like my kids were like really super little, and they're like holding screws and bolts and stuff. So me and the three kids, with my nickel cadmium Black & Decker drill that every one of us on Instagram, all 30-some thousand followers of mine, we all had that same drill, and we all hated it. But it's like a trophy, right? So we all had it. So I had that drill, and I went out there and I charged the battery every 30 seconds, and we
every
borrowed
30 seconds.
Yeah, right. And so then I plugged in I borrowed a hammer drill from my father-in-law, Bosch hammer drill that I literally had like a 400-foot cord coming out of my house, like out to the playhouse. And for about like a month and a half, because that's how long it took to charge those batteries, me and the kids built this playhouse, and it's 3 years later, it's still standing. Nobody's gotten hurt. It's cool. So that
awesome.
is the answer. And then it really turned into like some odd jobs. Like people, saw the playhouse, and like friends are like, hey, could you do this? Hey, could you do that? And my kids really, so the last part of the answer is, and I know it's a long answer, but like the last part of the answer is that my kids the whole way loved it. So I was like, okay, I'm a social worker. I don't talk about work. It doesn't come home. All my kids know is like dad goes to work, and like work to them for me meant that I just wasn't there. Like my wife cuts hair, like we go there, she cuts their hair. They know what she does. They don't know really like what I do, because I can't talk about it, and I wouldn't talk about it with them. So that to me, like it started this whole like process for me with my kids where I hate to say it, but I was like, all of a sudden I was like, cool. Not, and I don't have to be a cool parent, right? It's not my whole thing, right? So I have a different role as a dad, but I was like, man, like this is really cool that my kids want to be part of this. And like, they all have their own tools now. Like my little guy doesn't even want like the little fake ones. He's got like, my kids have more gator sponges than half of like the people that I hang out with and talk to. So it's ridiculous, but like they have all their own tools, like, and they help me out with a lot of stuff. And they just love being out in the shop. So like, that's like the end of the whole deal is for me, it continues because my kids love it. And like, it's been cool for my family.
Yeah. And it's definitely something you can remember, especially looking in your backyard and seeing your playhouse. Like that's the first thing you did. So that's really special. You guys will always have the memories of being in the shop, together. So that's really fun. It's so fun. That's how, I grew up watching my grandpa build, he would build me my American Girl doll beds and stuff. And sure enough, maybe one of your kids will be a woodworker when they're old enough.
Well, and now we're all growing up watching your grandpa build too.
I know.
It's awesome.
I'm still watching him build. He's awesome.
So cool.
He's so funny when we're like both doing way separate things. He's so cute. He's so funny. He's like, I think I'm going to use the bandsaw now. I'm like, well, I'm not done with the bandsaw. And he was like, okay, actually, I'm going to take the bandsaw. It's my bandsaw. He's so funny. He's so cute. He's the cutest. I do things to like mess with him because he's a really big jokester. Once you get to know him, he jokes a lot. So a piece of wood fell today, and then another piece of wood fell, and then another piece of wood fell, and he went and flicked like all the wood off. He was like, F you, wood. So just my Gramps is really funny. If you guys ever were to meet him, he's pretty funny.
Look, Sam, I know how to bleep somebody out. I'm not entirely sure how to blur a screen.
I didn't do it though.
Yes, you
Not
did.
fully. Okay, I could have just done this.
Wait, I
don't know.
What do you
stick some emojis on there, like the monkey.
The monkeys. Yeah, that's a good one. You should do that. That's perfect.
That's funny.
All right.
I saw Jeremy's face, and he's just like, "Oh,
I know."
Like,
sorry, Jeremy.
I'm not entirely sure I'm having to figure this one out.
I haven't said anything bad ever on here.
You're one step up because the last Sam we had, I used the bleep button a lot.
So there you go. This is perfect.
Now I'm gonna have to figure out how to blur the screen and put something.
Monkey.
Sign language over here.
Yeah, the
for everybody listening.
But Grandpa is hilarious. Gramps is hilarious. So, all right, last question. Who do you like to follow on your Instagram?
Are you asking me?
Who do you like to follow? Who do you, look up to?
Okay, so that's two. I feel like that's kind of like two different questions.
All right, well, let's break it down. Like if you were to log into your Instagram right now and you had the choice of the first 5 people that you were looking, who would those 5 people be?
I know Sam would be the first.
And then Countryside Workshop, and then us 3 don't count.
I'll leave you guys out. Yeah, so I'll leave you guys out for the spirit of the listeners who can't see Sam's fingers and want to hear what my answer might be.
And to spare our feelings.
First, are we still there?
Yeah, we're here.
I think it's cutting out a little bit. Still there? Okay. So the first person that I will go to see his page every single time is Jericho Holmes. Every single time. First off, like, he's doing stuff that I'm doing. So, like, I guess that would be, like, the number one, like, just overall, not just, like, I look at his stuff, but, like, he's doing stuff that I'm doing. So him and I talk on the regular. He's a good sounding board for me. Like, we're about the same age. Like, we see a lot of things the same. And so, like, he's super talented. And he's the first one I would go to his page. So Jericho Holmes is one. I think number 2 for me has to be the palette people, which is funny because you guys just had them on there. And the reason is it's funny because I don't do anything that they do. You know, like Victoria and Bryan are crushing out these signs that, like, it's not really like in what I would consider like my wheelhouse, but Victoria is hysterical. So she is like crushing and winning on stories, right? Which is something that, you know, like I use a lot. I know Sam and I use a lot. You guys, I've seen yours, but like for the most part, like there's certain people who like are killing stories, and she for me is in like the top 5. And I say that really because I think, you know, Instagram is making that push for stories, and they've made them a bigger part of like kind of that algorithm that everybody wants to talk about. But the palette people for me, Bryan and Victoria, are crushing that. So that would be number 2. Number 3 would have to be probably Steven, the wood pastor. And this is really kind of like, I guess the way I'm like doing this list is, for me, it would be not just like the specific people, but also like what draws me to, I guess, follow somebody, or, you know. And one of the things that I'll say about Steven is, I'm just super proud of him. Like, he left a job and went and like said, you know what, like I'm not happy, and I am so happy building stuff. And so he went and got a job in a cabinet shop, you know, and so he's doing something now that he absolutely loves. And from my standpoint, he's like learning every single day, and I'm really loving watching that. I'm just really enjoying, and that goes for anybody else and everybody else. Like, I really love finding people to follow, and I follow a lot of people, and the reason is because this to me, this whole Instagram thing, it's social media, right? So I love following Steven and people that are doing what Steven did, and it's not just like quitting your job and going like to be full time. And Drew, like, same for you. Like, that's super awesome. Like, I love seeing that kind of stuff. Like, everybody just picking up and saying like, I love this, and I'm going to do it, and committing themselves to doing it. And for Steven to do that, and like for everybody else that's out there saying like, you know what, like, I've never done a cutting board, so I'm going to do a cutting board. I've never done, and if you follow me, like, you know, if I see something and I want to try it, I'm going to try it, and I'm going to post on it, even if it sucks. Like, I don't even care. Like, everybody's like, dude, you need to get a camera. And I'm like, listen, I'm going to take pictures with my iPhone, and they're going to be like stuff that's good. And it's going to be stuff that I'm like trying new things, because I want my page to be a safe place. And I really find that Steven's place is a safe place to say, I'm going to make a box out of plywood because I can, and I'm learning how to be a cabinet maker. And that's super cool. So he would be number 3. Number 4 has to be Juan, which you guys I know are familiar with. And I think, to me, I just absolutely love the dude. Like, him and I are very similar. We have a very similar personality, like ready to go to bat for any one of our friends. Like, I just absolutely love his zest for life. I love his character. I love his honor, his truth. And I just absolutely love that he also is just having fun. Like, which again, so number 4, like, it's people that are just having fun. You know, it's Instagram. Like, it's, you know, for some of us, like, we're doing well. Like, every one of us on here is here for a purpose. But like, in the whole scheme of things, like, we're having fun. Like, Sam, you're winning because you're having fun. Like, your grandfather is awesome. And your stories are great because you're having fun. Juan is having fun, and he's winning because of it. And so number 5, it's really hard because like it's tough to narrow it to 5, right? So, but if I was to narrow down like my 5th person, I would have to say it's definitely Brittany from Overall and Power Saws. Like, and I saw that, I saw some notes earlier, which was funny for the show. But like, Brittany I love how fresh and just pure and like again, just like Juan, just having fun. And I also love that she's real. You know, her kids are in her stories, which mine are as well. And she really is showing that you can be a parent. You can have like that nap time, like grind, that she does. She hops on the live. Like, she is the first person to comment on stuff. She's the first person to reply to your stories. She is posting things that make sense, whether you're a woman and you're a woman builder, or you're a mother, or you're a parent. She is having fun, and she's doing it and showing everybody in the community that you can do it. And you can be those other things too. So to me, that would be like my fifth thing, which is people that are doing life and they're bringing life to the community.
I think that's a great list of 5 people.
Yeah.
They're all awesome. And
So-
I follow all of them.
I don't think you. So you pretty much said everybody's name except Juan's. So Juan's is D Madera ATX on Instagram.
Yeah. Sorry.
So don't go look for Juan, because
He won't show up.
Won't find him.
well, that or you're gonna find about a billion of them. So
A billion one. Yes. So,
He's the one, though.
yeah,
yeah.
there you go. He was funny.
You see what I did there?
Yes, you did. I did. Or yes, you did. Yes, I did.
Yes,
I saw. Well, I don't call him Juan. I call him Jay. I always call him Jay. And my whole family everyone calls him Jay. And my earphones just went out. So. Yeah.
Also,
That was Jay who was stealing my ketchup and ranch.
Also, nobody will know if we just say go follow Jay.
Yeah, I know.
So yeah, so I think that's a good list, and I think for me it's important because they're all indicative of something that really attracts me as a human to follow people. I follow people because I genuinely want to.
I like when people, if they make a mistake, they're going to put it on their Instagram. The other day I made a mistake and I showed my mistake. And that shows that you're real and you're not, just showing everyone what they want to see, and that you're showing them everything.
That was one of the golden rules about YouTube whenever I first started, was showing mistakes, because people actually like to see it.
Yeah, and what you did. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's some good content right there. You just dropped the hammer on us. We learned a lot. Let's get into some product recommendations. You want to go first, Rob?
Sure.
I know we talked a little bit about this already. So
just a quick recap. So obviously, I know in the show notes I mentioned the Shapeoko. I think in just a quick deal, I think the Shapeoko, I think CNCs in general are 2018. Like, they really, I think, started to hit in the last quarter of 2017. Everybody knows it. Like, it's there. I think one of the things that I mentioned in the show notes is, like, I get a lot of questions about CNCs and is it cheating? If you're using a CNC, is it cheating? And a simple answer, because I want to recommend a few other things, but the simple answer to that is this. I am not doing anything with my CNC that I would have otherwise done before. So to me, the CNC has added some new dimensions to my shop and my house and my abilities, but I'm not using it to replace any other woodworking skills or processes, if that makes sense. So that would be one. Obviously, to me, I think that I'd be remiss in not mentioning Rigid. I really appreciate the value of those products. There's a lot of, but that being said, like, I'm all about using the tools that you can get, that you can afford, that you have. But I will say that I appreciate the quality and the value, the cost of all of my Rigid tools. And one of the big deals to me is, and we talked a little bit about this earlier, but to me is that Rigid has supported the community, which is something that's big to me. And it's one of the main reasons that I kind of stick with them. I partner with them on a lot of stuff, and plenty more to come, I'm sure. But the thing about it is that I appreciate their efforts, not just with me, or, you know, I hate to say, but larger makers or YouTubers, or they support every one of us. It doesn't matter if you have 50 followers or you have 50,000 followers. So I appreciate that. And then I think I actually wrote some notes down. But I also have to say, one of the kind of recommendations that I have is and I think Sam and I talked about this a few times, but Timberland Pro. I could tell you right now what a world of difference. I mean, you guys know I'm in the Northeast, so it's practically Canada, which, you know, I am not good in the sun, right? Like, I'm just not made for that. But I am decently made for the winter. But I can tell you that the clothes and the boots and the apparel that I use in my shop all winter long, I wear pants and a hoodie, and it's -10 wind chill in Buffalo, New York. So that would be a company, again, that's a company that I'm really proud to kind of partner with, because if you follow them, you know, like that, you know, whenever something happens in their community, they're backing the efforts to, you know, fix schools and plant gardens. And they were just in Puerto Rico a couple weeks ago. Like, and again, just like Rigid or any company that you're going to see on my feed, I try to do a lot of due diligence on like who that company is and who those people are. And if you guys aren't, just check out Timberland Pro, because they're killing it in their community.
Yes, they are.
And that's important to me. And Sam, like, we've talked a little bit about this, but like that, it's super important to me to partner with that kind of company.
Yes, that's giving back. I think that's great.
It's really hard to endorse a company that you don't feel is genuine to not only themselves, but to the community and the employees and everything like that. I mean, it's just really hard to endorse something if you don't believe in it.
Yes, I 100% agree with that.
Yeah. All right, Drew, what's something you want to recommend?
Something I recently found. I've always had an issue when it comes to miters, and especially with crown molding. Whenever I was making this Murphy bed, I was going to put some crown molding at the top, which I eventually did. But trying to nail those miters is very, very difficult. And I started looking on Amazon for some miter helping tools. And I came across this one called a Bora Miter X. I actually brought it with me. It looks like a pocket
Affinity?
knife. Do what now?
Affinity, right? Bora?
Yeah,
Yep.
Bora.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I was really, because it's the ease of use. So if you need to find like the outer angle of a box or maybe that Murphy bed, you can just slide these little pieces up, match the angle, and then lock it down with the little turn knob right there. And then you take it to your saw and you take that piece off, and then you can match the angle of the miter to your saw.
That's pretty cool.
It just cuts it right in half.
That is
so
cool.
Only one side comes off, but it'll match inside and outside angles, and it's super easy to use. And it made those miters on that Murphy bed just come out perfect.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
I might have to look into getting one of those.
All right, Sam, what do you want to recommend?
So I'm actually going to recommend two things, because I've been using both these things a lot in the shop this week, and I have no clue how to pronounce this, but it is the Baco 665 Premium Ergonomic Carbide like scraper. It's 2.5 inches. It's great. I did a story on it just recently, and it's really easy to scrape the glue. Really anything. Jeff Mack Designs, who I talk to a lot. He's one of my good friends on Instagram. He recommended it to me because they use it in their shop, and it is wonderful. So I highly recommend, if you want a good scraper, that is the one to get. I'm also going to recommend the Woodpecker's standard in center scale. I've been using that to lay out my legs the last couple of days, and it's been great because there's a 0 in the middle on one side, and it goes out. There's different lengths. Like I was using the 10-inch one, so I can go out to 10 inches on the one side, and then on the other side it's a 0 and then 5 and 5. I'm pretty sure. No, it's 12, not 10. So 12 on one side, and on the other side of the ruler it has the 0 in the middle, and it'll go out to 6. So it's really nice when laying everything out. Really helpful being able to switch from side to side. So those are my two.
Well, I'm actually gonna recommend more or less a service. Just being at Workbench Con and of course over the last few years, handing out stickers and stuff like that, I constantly go back to Sticker Mule, and it's not because maybe they have a superior product or they make the best sticker. It is simply because of their customer service. 100% hands down, that's why I go back to that company. For anybody that doesn't know, as soon as you purchase something from Sticker Mule, like as soon as you order some stickers or something like that, you become an affiliate with their company. You can take your link, you can share it out, and anytime somebody signs up, they get a $10 coupon or store credit towards their stickers. And as soon as they make that purchase using your link, then you get a $10 store credit, and it doesn't matter. So say Drew goes and signs up using my link, he's going to go ahead and get his $10 store credit now, but say he doesn't make a purchase for a year. Well, whenever he makes that purchase, I will get that. So it's always tied to my affiliate code. And long story short, I've been kind of banking on those affiliates, and I had probably $70, I think, in store credit, and I just over time they're gonna expire, but they will extend it if you ask. Well, I just kind of forgot about it, and I went to log in to order some stickers, and my all $70 in my store credit was gone. I sent them an email, and within 10 minutes I had all $70 restored. No questions asked. It's not, oh, sorry, it expired, this or that. They don't give excuses. They're all about their customer base, and they help you out. And kind of like what you said, Rob, doesn't matter how small or how big you are. They're willing to help you out, and that's why I go back to that company, and that's why I've recommended it several times on here. So,
do you realize, Jeremy, it's been 1 year almost since you had that little incident with the Southern Woodworkers sticker that you had to get replaced, and their customer service just came through for you?
Yeah,
just hands down.
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, we had and we'll talk a little bit more about this, but we had a booth set up for Southern Woodworkers down in Atlanta last year, and I made I made a 24-inch sign, and I ordered their wall decal, put it on some plywood. I cut the plywood out, painted it, and I mean, this thing's looking slick. And come the next day, the decal started pulling away from the wood, and I couldn't get it to adhere. I emailed them, and I was like, I was kind of stuck, rock and hard place. I'm leaving the next day for Atlanta. The show's 2 days away. They printed it. I emailed them. Within 10 minutes, they responded. They had it on the printer within half an hour and in the mail the next morning, and they shipped it to me 1 day service all the way to the hotel. Like, that company lost money right there on shipping probably alone. It would probably cost them $100 just to ship it. But the fact is that they owned up to what they believed was a mistake in their manufacturing of the adhesive, and they were quick. They weren't, 4 to 5 days we'll get it to you. No, like I needed it and they sent it to me. So like that right there is a testament to them.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, let's move on. Let's jump into some what's new here. And for those of you that are watching the video feed, you saw that I pulled in Zach Mannering for the Southern Woodworkers. Zach, what's going on in Atlanta coming up in 2 weeks?
Well, we have our next booth. Just like you were just talking about, it's going to be amazing. This is our third booth we've done since the Southern Woodworkers has started, and it's just getting bigger and bigger every time.
So, for those of people on the fence or maybe that are coming and don't quite know, what can they expect when they come to the Southern Woodworkers booth?
Well, to start, there's going to be a lot of us folks that are going to be there just hanging around chatting. We'd like to set up our booths in a way that just allows people to get to know people in the community, answer questions, also displaying stuff from the community. And then on top of that, we also have somewhere close to 20 different things to give away, if not more. So we're going to have a nonstop kind of giveaway on Saturday. Pretty much every hour we'll be giving something away. And then I'll have the teardrop trailer that I built from scratch will be there in the booth. And then in addition to all that, we're going to have a few special guests to give talks. So those would be really awesome.
Yeah, so last year was very, I would say very successful. I've been working with Zach hand in hand on this. And I think we're developing something that is not just like a come hang out, what's going on. Like we're trying to build something that's giving back to the community. Between doing like talks and reaching out to corporate sponsors and getting things to give away, to help not necessarily incentivize you to come to the show, but to kind of give you a kickback to you guys, because this Southern Woodworkers wouldn't be a thing without all the followers, all the members of it. Just like the podcast wouldn't be a thing if it weren't for Sam's mom listening. So we know we have one listener. We at least have one.
We just hope Sam's mom's not watching.
I know. After I did that,
Sam's mom. Susan, go look.
She'll yell at me. I know. She'll yell at me.
She has a bad influence in the shop with her. So there you
go. Yeah.
So
yeah, I think what's amazing is, like you said, last year was really a really good turnout, and we had 200 members at that time, and we're coming up to almost 1,100 members now, probably close to 1,200 by the time we go to the show. So it's gonna be pretty crazy.
Yeah. So we're trying to make the booth a little bit different than other booths, right? We're trying to make it a little bit more comfortable. We're going to try to have some DIY couches there, some other things to sit down on, just have a place to come, take a load off, and have some conversation. Versus other booths you're going to go to, they're there to sell product. So they may talk to you for 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, but their end goal is to sell you something, versus our end goal is just to exchange some conversation. So, all right. Well,
nice.
I see you got something in here, Drew. What's going on? What's new in your world?
Well, for those of you that have been following my Instagram feed lately, I am trying right now to do a giveaway each month for the entire year. I don't know what I got planned for the very end of the year. Maybe something big, since it's going to be around Christmas time. But I just finished up my Ryobi giveaway and started, as of today, my giveaway with Chad over at Mancrafting. He actually made a one-off boom cup or tumbler with my logo on one side and his on the other. And that will be for my March giveaway.
Noticed I didn't receive the email saying I won that Ryobi giveaway there.
Sorry, I didn't randomly select you.
Yeah. Talk about being rigged.
Yeah, that tumbler turned out nice, man. I saw that.
Yeah, it looked good.
Yeah, it does look good.
I'd never seen it in black, and I told him, I said, I want to try it in black. So he sent me the picture, and I was like, oh, I got to have one now.
I know, and he is the nicest guy, too. He is super, super, super nice. I met him over the weekend. So,
all right. Well,
nice.
One last shout out that we're going to give here. So one of our Patreon followers is Dad and Daughter Workshop, and they reached out to me, just kind of kick back, saying pretty much how they really enjoy our show and all this. And his daughter Hayden has really gotten into the show, and they listened to every single episode together. So I think it would just be fitting for us to give her a nice shout out. Like I love when kids are listening to our show. It makes me feel like we're carrying on the tradition from necessarily our grandparents, our parents, and we're passing it on to the generations coming behind us. So Hayden, I really appreciate you taking the interest in listening to our show. It means a lot to us.
Yes, thanks, Hayden.
Thank you, Hayden.
So
awesome. We would like to remind you, if you listen to the show on iTunes, to please give us a 5-star rating. It helps us reach greater audience. Okay, 19 times 50 said, I started listening to the podcast at the beginning when there were about 80 episodes recorded. The first several were a little rough, which was expected for just starting. The podcast continued to get better, and I have now caught up and listened to them all. That is so funny.
Yeah, they were rough. They were very rough.
But then Bryan from the Pallet People was like, "Nah, I don't think it was that bad." Are we talking about the same podcast, everybody? Because
yeah. 19 times 50. I really want to know what you think about it now, because he said he's caught up and he's listened to them all. But the beginning was rough. What's it like now?
Well, hopefully it's good because he listened to them all. That's a lot to listen to if you didn't like it.
That's 116 episodes.
Yeah.
It's pretty dedicated. Oh my gosh, I can't talk.
Dedicated?
Dedicated.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we sign off, we want to thank Rob for being on the show with us. It has been a pleasure having you on, and just your explanation as to why you follow people on Instagram was just inspiring. So for the people that don't know how to get in contact with you, don't know where your Instagram is at, how would they go about finding you?
So you can find me at gingerwoodworks.com. That's my website. So that's, constant work in progress, I think, for everybody. But also I've got Ginger Woodworks on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and also YouTube.
Very good. Thank you for that. Sam, hit it.
SamRyanDesigns.com. You can find me there, but I'm mainly on Instagram. I'm redoing my website right now. So you can find me at SamRyan_designs. You can send me a message and I most likely will get back to you. Like
Jeremy.
You can pretty much find me on my website. If you want to shoot me an email, go to there, the contact page there at countrysideworkshop.com. If you want to get in contact with me like right away, pretty much DM me on Instagram, or shoot me, tweet me, whatever you want. I don't know what you call it. Tweet me, and then I have a personal secretary that sends me screenshots of all those things so I can respond. So.
Yeah, that was bad. Jeremy is not a tweeter. Don't tweet this man. I don't want to be his secretary.
So,
all right,
Zach, you want to let us know how we can contact the Southern Woodworkers if there's people out there that are interested in joining or wanting to know more?
Sure, yeah. You can go through the website at southernwoodworkers.com or reach us out directly on Facebook under a group called Southern Woodworkers.
Awesome.
Okay.
Where can we find you, Drew?
Well, I'm pretty available just about anywhere. You can find me at rhwoodshop.com. That is my website. Contact information is there. I'm pretty active on Instagram, and my YouTube channel is getting ramped back up again. I've been kind of laid back on that as of late, but now that I'm full time now, that will pick back up. So yeah, that pretty much wraps it up.
Nice.
I want to hit one more thing. I released a video for the first time in how long, Drew? Like a long time. So
I wasn't keeping track, but yeah,
I'm gonna try to release some more videos. So if you want to go check out my latest video, go to Countryside Workshop on YouTube.
Nice little plug there.
Yeah. Hey, well, look, I'm proud. I'm proud that I've been sitting on that video for like 6 months. I'm proud I finally got it out.
We're gonna see you with different hair.
No, because I've had the same hair since like 2008, which is none.
All right. Well, Rob, like I said, it's been a pleasure having you on. And Zach, thanks for coming on and giving the information about the Southern Woodworkers booth again. That was very nice. Thank you very much.
Not a problem.
So that pretty much wraps it up. Thank you guys for sending in your questions. If you have some feedback for us, you can send us an email at kickback at woodshop101podcast.com. You can also leave a voicemail by calling area code 409-234-3959. You can also send us a voice memo through your phone. Just record basically a voice memo, send it to the email. Those are really high quality sounding messages, and we appreciate those. If you guys can drop us a line somehow or another, we would appreciate it. And also thank you to our new Patreons as well. That's awesome to keep the lights going. We appreciate it very much. So from Jeremy, Sam, Rob, Zach, and myself, we want to wish you guys well. Please be safe in your shops, and we will talk to you on the next podcast episode. And Hayden, this is for you. 1, 2, 3. Boom!
Boom! Nice.